Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Palpable Pages. If you don't know me, my name is Alicia and it is March. Happy March. It is March 2nd. On March 1st, yesterday, I wanted to film this video, but I had to work and sleep and do all kinds of mommy things. So I wanted to film this video about all the books I read in the month of February. You can kind of see the top one. But yeah, here's all the books I read in the month of February. I do want to say, to start off, like, the new season of You just came out, so I did binge watch all the old seasons of You before I watched season 4. And then also Criminal Minds, the new season of Criminal Minds just recently came out, so I'm kind of working on Criminal Minds while working and doing mommy things. So I didn't read as many books as I wanted to. I don't think anybody ever reads as many books as they want to, but I did start, like, at the beginning of the year, like, this whole reading 30 minutes a day thing. Like, if you just read for 30 minutes a day, how many books can you get through? And I don't get to do it every day. There's some days, like, you work like 2 or 3 days in a row, and then you like work and sleep, and you feel like that's all you have time to do. But yeah, reading 30 minutes a day, I did get to read, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. And I am in the middle of reading Home Before Dark right now, by Riley Sager. And that book, I'm almost finished with it, but I'm gonna put it on the March list because it's March 2nd. I'm not done with it, so it's a March list book. I read it, a little bit. February 28th, I started it, and then I worked yesterday. Didn't read it at all yesterday, and then, like, I'm almost done with it as of today. So, the March book. But yeah, here's all the books I read in the month of February. All of them. Wonderful stories. Very good reads. I don't regret purchasing any of these books. But yes, let's get started. The first book I wanted to talk about reading for the month of February was this book called Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. And if any of you guys out there have not read a Colleen Hoover book, you are missing out. But this book, I think this is book number 6 or 7 of hers that I read, and I loved it. I love every single one of her books. She's like a wonderful author. All of her books are like so very quick to get through. I can sit down and read any of them in like one sitting. But yeah, Colleen Hoover, she's has so many different stories. And I know for the month of February, most other people are probably going to have all these love stories on their list. And all of mine are love stories. They do have love in every book. I feel like it's hard to read any story that doesn't have love in it in some way. Whether it's love for your family or love for, like, your spouse or boyfriend, or love for, like, even a pet. But yeah, there's love in every story. But some of these stories on my list, I was just drawn to more of the, maybe it's because of what I'm watching on TV right now, like You and Criminal Minds. But yes, all of my love stories for the month of February are not like romance, rom-com books. I do have some on my list I wanted to read, just didn't get to them yet. But these books are all a little bit more on the other end of the spectrum of, like, toxic love, abusive love, that kind of end of the spectrum. Thriller, suspense kind of books. Yes, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book, I feel like I'm gonna say I love this book, not just because the main character is an emergency nurse, and being a nurse, I'm like, oh, of course I gotta read it. But it's the writing is so good, and it's not what you think it is. It's not just like, I was like thinking Ugly Love, water on the cover. Oh, it's toxic love and he murders her or something crazy. Like, that's nowhere near what this book is about. This book is about this main character, Tate Collins, emergency nurse, and she's going to school, I think, to be a CRNA, and she moves in with her brother that has his own apartment, his own life, and he, like, of course, it feels a little bit to her like a frat house. He has his friends over, and she's just kind of like living with him now, trying to go to school and work full time. So she's busy and doesn't have all the time in the world for a relationship. And so, of course, by proximity, kind of falls for one of her brother's friends, Miles Archer. They don't have the best meet cute in the world. She kind of hates him at first, and it's like I like the whole trope of, like, the love hate, and then, like, the whole proximity love thing going on. But then Miles, he's a very good person who has a very dark, terrible past, and you have to figure out, like, I feel like all the guys that are, like, guarded in books, like, they have to uncover, like, what happened to you, who messed you up, and that is kind of here, but it's not what you think it is at all. Anyways, just because, like, he tells her initially, like, he tells her like he's interested and he does things to like kind of throw her off, and she's like, I can't tell if you like me. Like sometimes like you act like you like me and you want to be serious, and you do things that make me feel like we are together, and then other times like he kind of pushes her away, and she's like, what is happening? And I just want to say, like, I don't really like that storyline completely. Like I don't want young readers that read this book to think that that's how it's supposed to go. You should never ever get in a relationship where someone doesn't want to like give you their whole heart and be with you. If they're pushing you away, if it's like mixed signals, like just walk away. This should never be happening. But in this story, she does such a wonderful job like printing a story of like the exception. This is the exception to the rule. And Tate Collins is someone who like shouldn't have time for a relationship anyway, so she's not even worried about that. But just I feel like it naturally is going to happen that you get bonded to each other, you learn about each other, and he has like to really face some demons in his life and his past, and it really shows you like more than anything, because it's so true, that nobody can help you and fix you like you can for yourself, and that's what he has to do. He has to work on himself. But this book, I love it. I love everything about this book. I like that she's a nurse. I like that she's in school. She's such a strong-willed, independent person, and she's like so like she's feisty. I feel like she's really feisty, and just because of that, the way they paint her picture, her character, and because I've probably been watching this season, most recent series U, the most recent season of the series U, I had the character on my brain, Delilah. If you've seen Delilah in season 3, I think her name is Carmela Zimbardo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I love her character, and that's like, this is Tate Collins. That's Tate Collins' character in the book. I like her dark features and dark hair. That's what she has in the book. But they also say that she's very feisty and independent, and that's like Delilah to a T. Delilah is feisty and independent, and she's stubborn, but she's smart. And so she's my Delilah that I imagined when I read the book. And then for Miles, I imagined Scott Eastwood, just because they say that he has like this stare that goes through you, strong silent type, and that's just how they described him to be. I feel like they're like wonderful together. But there's another character I can't not mention Cap in the book, and Cap is one of my favorite characters, and he's like, I don't know, he's just there and available to listen to both, but then he kind of like has a different relationship with both that neither of them know about. But Cap, I imagined him as being Clint Eastwood, Scott Eastwood's dad, and I know like Cap and Miles are not related in the book, and hopefully people just don't catch on to that. If they make this into a movie, I would love it if Clint Eastwood could play Cap, because if you watch the movie Gran Torino, that's just to a T kind of Cap's character, and I really like Cap in the story. Can't not mention him. But I can't read this book and not want to drink orange juice. Like just looking at it right now, like I want to go get a glass of orange juice. It's just the main thing in the book. Yes, so read Ugly Love. I do have to say, yeah, she has like this just natural part of every book she writes where they're a little bit naughty, a little bit lusty scenes. Like she can't not write that. And I've yet to read a book where she doesn't have like she's naughty. Don't, just like for warning, if you read any Colleen Hoover books, like that's just gonna be in there. Moving on. So yes, after I read Ugly Love, I read Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and this book, I have a whole nother book review about this book. And this book, Behind Closed Doors, it's about Jack and Grace, and it's about kind of like, it's exactly what you think it is, behind what goes on behind closed doors. Like it's this picture perfect like couple, everyone admires them, they think they're perfect, Grace is so beautiful, and Jack is just like handsome and charming, and everyone feels like he'd be a great catch to have, and like they have this picture perfect life. They don't have any kids, but they have this picture perfect life in this beautiful house in this nice neighborhood, and everyone thinks that they just have it all. But then it shows you like what goes on behind closed doors, and that Jack might have some abusive tendencies, but you have to figure out like why. It's a psychological thriller because it's really showing you why Grace gets stuck in the situation she's in, how they meet, and like how she moves forward and to get out of the situation. And it's just like, it's such a good book, and I couldn't put it down. I have a whole nother video of this book, so yeah, read that. But this book, I'd give this book like 4 out of 5 stars. A wonderful book. yeah, they also have these other main characters that you can't like leave out, but she has a disabled younger sister, Millie, and like Millie plays such a big role in the book. I just like that someone wrote about a character with special needs. It doesn't happen too often in a lot of books that you read, but a main character, like I like that they put her in it, and they put like this is love of like sisters, like how Grace would do anything for Millie, and so it is kind of a love book for February in that sense. Yeah, very good book. You guys have to read this one. And then without further ado, I read the book Layla. Layla is on my top favorite love stories of all time video. I love this book, Layla. It's also by Colleen Hoover, of course. I just kind of went on a Colleen Hoover binge for a while. Layla is a paranormal kind of book, and it's a thriller. It's suspenseful, and probably the best time to read it would be in the dark when you're home by yourself, middle of the night. That'd be great. But main character's name is Leeds, and then it's about his relationship with Layla, and then there's like everything's great, and like they like once they meet they can't separate, like they're like attached to the hip, and like naturally they just naturally become this like close relationship without needing to make it official or have the conversation to make it official. They just are, and like once they meet it's like it's all about them, Leeds and Layla. But then he like kind of steps away from his lifestyle as a musician, and he stops like doing things that he would normally do with all of his friends, and his life just becomes all about Layla once they meet, and that's okay because it's like he meets this person and she changes his whole world, and vice versa. But then this big tragedy happens. This big tragedy happens. Don't want to give it away because I don't want to have any spoilers. But tragedy happens, and then he and Layla start like drifting apart or having issues for about 6 months, and he doesn't know what's happening. So he's trying to rekindle their relationship by going to the place where they first met, which happens to be the place where they had like Layla's sister's wedding at the beginning of the book. But yeah, while they're in this place, there's all these like creepy things happening. There's spooky vibes, and so while like dealing with like Layla and her recovery of this traumatic thing that happened to them, and trying to rekindle their romance between each other, he also has these paranormal things that are happening that she seems to not be aware of. That he's like, I don't want to say anything and sound crazy, but this is happening and I can't ignore it. And then the story goes so much further than what I thought. And then three-fourths into the book, like it took a turn. I'm like, this is no longer just a thriller. This is no longer just a love story. This is like totally different spectrum. And if you think you have it all figured out, what's going to happen, you get to like the last 50 pages or so, and then the story completely twists on you. I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't see any of these things coming. And it is like one of my favorite love stories of all time, especially when you read like the last 5 pages of the book. I'm like, this is my favorite love story, one of my favorite love stories of all time. You can't not read it. Good book for the month of February, also good book for the month of October, whenever it comes to be Halloween spooky season. I love this book. I can't just, I don't even remember what my tabs are for. I'm like, oh, it says, one of my tabs that I wrote down was, the womb is a realm of existence we don't remember, and death is just another realm of existence. So yeah, there's like, I want to be one of those people that highlights quotes in books that I like, but I can't bring myself to do it. So I have all these like little sticky tabs that I put. Yes, the best time in this book, I have to say, this is one of my favorite books of all time, Layla by Colleen Hoover. And then for one of my most recent book review videos I just recently posted is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. And if you guys haven't watched it, you should watch that book review. But this book, this was like riveting. That's like the only word that can come to my brain, just riveting. It's just like thriller, suspenseful. I love all those vibes. But I don't know, House Across the Lake. It's about main character Casey Fletcher, and Casey, she was married to a man named Len. They have a perfect like marriage relationship. Casey's like in the public eye. She's a like actress, and she's famous, and she has this lake house that her family owns. She goes to the lake house just because a big tragedy happens, something very traumatic, and she like becomes an alcoholic, starts drinking bourbon, and like keeps making these epic fails in the public eye, and she can't get away from it. And she's tired of the press and the media like attacking her, and so she goes to this lake house just to retreat and just recover, and just I don't think she just runs away. I don't feel like she has any goals of like growing at the lake house. She just wants to run away. So she does that, and then she like naturally is like watching this other house across the lake that has these very upper class, uppity other famous people at the house across the lake. And this couple that's in that house across the lake, like the woman is like a supermodel and she's very pretty, and she's like stepped back from being a supermodel. And then the man owns like a social media networking platform, and so I imagine he works from home. But yeah, it says here she's armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon to watch Tom and Catherine Royce, the couple across the lake. And yeah, so the binoculars, they were originally bought by her husband Lynn for bird watching, and just being nosy, sitting on the not, I want to say balcony, sitting on her porch, drinking. She's just watching them, start seeing things that are suspicious and odd. And then like there's like 5 other houses in this little corner of the lake that they live on, and like Catherine goes missing, and she's trying to uncover what happened to her and all these other secrets that are kind of coming out of the woodwork while she's investigating what's going on. And it's a good book. It's a wonderful story. You guys should watch the full video book review I gave of it. I couldn't put this book down. I think I read this book in one day. This book was amazing. This was my very first book of Riley Sager's I ever read, and because of that, I bought more Riley Sager books, and I'm reading a Riley Sager book right now called Home Before Dark. So that book, I can't wait to do a book review video on Home Before Dark. I'm going to finish it today. It was going to be on this February list. It's not. Yes, Riley Sager, so far 2 for 2. I'm not even done with this book, Home Before Dark, and I can already say it's going to be recommended to everybody I know. I love this book. I love this book, and I love the book Home Before Dark already. But yeah, Riley Sager, buy one of any of his books that are out right now. I think 6 of them are out. Another one's coming out this June. Wonderful author. I love his writing, and then I love the story. So yes, read The House Across the Lake. So the last book that I read in the month of February, or completed in the month of February, is this book, What Lies in the Woods. And I just posted a video a little bit earlier about the full book review of the video. So this is by Kate Alice Marshall, and I can't not talk about the descriptive writing in this book and how amazing she is as an author, like writing so detailed. It's just beautiful writing that she has, where she's just like really painting a picture where you feel like you're there, and she's like very sensory writing, where you're like like what you see, like not just what you see, what you hear, but like the texture and description of things. And it's just very like whimsical writing. I love it. But yeah, it's about a girl named Naomi, and Naomi has 2 friends, Cassidy and Olivia, and it paints a picture of like their lives now as adults, but it talks about like what happened to them when they were like 11 years old as kids playing in the woods. And Naomi gets stabbed 17 times, and the testimony of the 3 girls puts away a serial killer named Stahl, and he goes to a prison, and they uncover that he has murdered 6 other women. And so I'm like right there immediately, I had to read this book knowing that that was in the description of it. But there's so many lies, and there's lies, like it says here, there's lies between the girls, there's lies between, you know, what their friends know, what their families know, what their parents know, what the sheriff knows. Like everybody has lies of their own, and everybody knows a little bit of his and her lies, but nobody knows all the lies from everybody. And so like you don't even know what's going on yourself to the very end of the book, and it reveals slowly over time what happens. And it's a phenomenal, thrilling book to read, very suspenseful. There's parts in it I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I can't put it down. And then when I thought I had it figured out, then I got another twist, and then you think you have it figured out, and you get another twist. And she has a love interest in this book, of course, and so I do like the love interest, but the book isn't just about the love interest. It's about the storyline of her figuring out what really happened to her, uncovering the lies of everybody in this small town. Yes, you guys, you should invest time in this book, invest time in the full book review I just posted a little bit ago of this book. What Lies in the Woods. It was definitely worth the read. So yeah, that is my list of all the books I read in the month of February. I have one turned around. Yeah, all the books I read in the month of February. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that's not too bad considering like I work full time and have kiddos and I'm busy doing mom things. But I hope I've already like read almost, let's see, I feel like between January and February, I've already read more books than I did in the entire last half of last year. So this reading 30 minutes a day thing has really been amazing and helpful for me. But you can't just read for 30 minutes. You read for 30 minutes. You tell yourself it's just gonna be 30 minutes. You set the time aside, and then before you know it, you're like, oh my god, I've already like read 250 pages of this book and I can't put it down. So yes, try that goal, reading for 30 minutes a day, even just like 20 minutes a day, and you're gonna read more books than you have the year before, definitely. And all these stories are so amazing, and I'm very happy with that goal. And I have a whole list of books I need to get through, and like that's my problem is I can't pick which books I want to read because my list is so long. So yeah, I'll take any recommendations you have for thriller suspense books. I have a few rom-com books in here I want to read, but yes, I'm gonna go finish my other book, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And you guys have a great month of March.